How is it possible that one of history's greatest sultans kept on partying even after death? What happened to his body after he died? Let's find out. Welcome to my channel. Today we'll be telling you about the Sultan whose party never ended. The Sultanate of Süleyman the Magnificent was one of the longest in Ottoman history, lasting from 1520 to 1566. In those 46 years, the Sultan expanded the empire's borders and made it one of the richest and most powerful states in the world. But while he was a great leader, he was also known for his extravagant parties, and it seems that even death couldn't stop him from having a good time. During his reign, he hosted countless feasts and celebrations, inviting dignitaries from all over the world. There were no expense spared when it came to entertaining guests, and the Sultan's personal chambers were often filled with music, dancing, and drinking. He had harems full of women who catered to his every need, and he enjoyed nothing more than throwing gold coins from a tower, watching the common folk fight over the riches. One could say that Süleyman was a bit of a show-off. But hey, when you're as rich as he was, it's kind of hard not to be. He loved to live large and in charge and wasn't afraid to flaunt his wealth. However, despite his many excesses, Süleyman was a devout Muslim, and he believed that it was his duty to provide for the needs of his people. He built schools, hospitals, and mosques, and he also established a legal code, which helped to bring order to the empire. So while he may have been known for his wild parties, Süleyman was also a great builder and a fair ruler. He was well liked by the majority of his subjects, and he is remembered as one of the greatest sultans in Ottoman history. But back to his parties. Imagine you're attending one of Sultan Süleyman's legendary parties. The year is 1566, and you've been invited to celebrate the Sultan's 72nd birthday. You arrive at the palace and are immediately struck by the opulence. The halls are decorated with gold and jewels, and there's music and dancing everywhere. You make your way to the throne room where Süleyman sits on a golden throne surrounded by his court. He is dressed in fine clothes and jewels, and he looks every bit the powerful sultan that he is. After the ceremony, it's time to party. You join the other guests in the courtyard where there are tents set up for eating and drinking. There's food from all over the empire, and wine flows freely. You eat, drink, and dance until late into the night, then retire to your luxurious lodgings for the night. The next morning, you wake up feeling refreshed and ready to party again. You head to the courtyard for breakfast, then it's off to the races. The Sultan loves horse racing, and there are races held in his honor every year. You watch as the horses thunder down the track, then it's back to the palace for more food and drink. As the day goes on, there are more festivities, including a parade and a fireworks display. You're exhausted by the end of the day, but it's been a wonderful celebration. As the sun sets, you know that tomorrow the party will start again, and you can't wait. But that's where things get weird. While the party is still going on, a messenger arrives at the palace with some bad news. The Sultan has died. Despite the shocking news, the party continues, and you can't help but wonder, what would the Sultan have wanted? Would he have wanted his guests to continue to party? Or would he have wanted them to go home and mourn him? You decide to stay and party in honor of the dead Sultan, and in the morning, you wake up and realize that you're not alone. All of the other guests have decided to do the same thing. You all party together for another day, then finally decide that it's time to go home. As you leave the palace, you can't help but feel like you've just experienced something truly unique. You've partied with the Sultan, even after he died. And this is where the story takes a turn for the bizarre. When the news of Süleyman's death reached his courtiers, they didn't take it very well. They panicked and began looting the palace, taking whatever they could with them as they fled. But the Sultan's body was left behind, just lying in state in the throne room. No one seemed to care that the great Sultan had died. Everyone was too busy trying to save themselves. In fact, when the new Sultan came to power, he tried to have those responsible for looting the palace put to death. But it was too late. The damage was done, and the Sultan's body was still lying in state in the throne room. It is said that the smell was so bad that the new Sultan couldn't stand it any longer and ordered the body to be buried. But even that didn't happen right away. The body was wrapped in a blanket and thrown into a ditch. It wasn't until 3 days later that the body was given a proper burial in a mosque. But that didn't stop the party. Not at all. In fact, the funeral procession was so large that it took 4 hours for the body to arrive at the mosque. And during those 4 hours, the party just kept going. People were drinking and celebrating and having the time of their lives. Even the janissaries, the elite soldiers who guarded the Sultan's person, were caught up in the revelry. They forgot that they were supposed to be mourning the Sultan, and instead they were drinking and dancing with the rest of the party-goers. It wasn't until the body arrived at the mosque that the janissaries snapped out of it. They realized what they had done and were horrified. But it was too late. The damage was done. The Sultan was dead, and there was no bringing him back. So instead of continuing to party, the janissaries did the only thing they could think of. They threw themselves at the mercy of the new Sultan and begged for forgiveness. And to their surprise, the new Sultan forgave them. He knew that they were just having fun and that they didn't mean any harm. But while the janissaries got off scot-free, the same couldn't be said for everyone else. The new Sultan was furious about the looting that had taken place, and he vowed to punish those responsible. He had many of the courtiers put to death, and the rest of them fled the city. The Sultan's magnificent palace was now in ruins, and the party was over. But if you ask me, I think the Sultan would have been happy about how things turned out. He was a notorious womanizer, and he would have loved all the attention that his untimely death brought him. Plus, he was known for his love of gold and jewels. And what better way to spend your afterlife than having everyone talk about how much loot there was to be had at your funeral? Of course, he would have preferred it if the looting hadn't happened while he was still alive. But hey, when you're dead, you're dead. And apparently, when you're a sultan, you party on. So, what do you think? Was Sultan Süleyman the Magnificent a great leader or just a big party animal? Let us know in the comments below. We hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more historical tales. We've got plenty more stories of debauchery, intrigue and adventure waiting for you. Thanks for watching.